A story of a fighter is shown who ended his opponent during a match at the start of the movie. Will he forgave himself? Let's see this movie further. At the start of the movie, a man named Boyka is shown. His face was sweating, meant he has ended a fight right now. A flashback is shown that Boyka has won the fight which he fought. The environment in jail is shown, and there were competitions in martial law arts. Their champion was named Koshmer. He is a good fighter that defeats the opponent fighter. His fighting skills are also known all over the city. Boyka is seen entering a church, where the priest advises him to put his talents to good use. You earn money while fighting, but indirectly you put them in trouble. Boyka is shown thinking about his advice, but he doesn't have any other job, that's why he will continue his game. His manager is shown coming to him and tells him about a fight in Budapest. Boyka will also participate in this martial law arts tournament. Boyka waited for a long time for fighting in the championship. He has got the hard training for this. At the start of the tournament, Boyka has to fight with a fighter named Victor, and the fight was tough, but Boyka succeeds. Boyka wins the fight, but while returning, Boyka sees Victor was taken into an ambulance. He discovers Victor was badly injured in the fight. Victor was his opponent player in this fight, and now his condition was worse. Boyka blames himself for this and remembers what the priest said. He asked him to use his skills for good tasks. You put people in trouble during the fight. The next day, his manager arrives and tells him with whom he will fight further. Boyka was remorseful and embarrassed, which is why he doesn't listen to his manager. Boyka is shown thinking about Victor and his family all the time. He searches for Victor's wife, who lives in Russia, because he wants to apologize to her. His president tries to make him remember the tournament of martial law arts and says his life will be in danger if he will go to Russia. Boyka doesn't care about it, and his manager asks him to make his fake passport for meeting Victor's wife because your life is at risk in Russia. Boyka is shown to reach Russia and sees Victor's wife there. She was at the funeral of her husband, and a man named Zurab arrives. He belongs to criminals. He tells Victor's wife that he is in debt and now his wife has to pay his debt. Victor's wife named Alma says, "I will do anything for paying this debt." Zurab agrees, and Boyka also reaches the address told in the letter. This was actually a community center where the kids were playing football. Boyka sees Alma there and knows about her, that she is Victor's wife. He wants to meet her, but not now, and Boyka is shown chasing Alma, but then Zurab takes Alma from there to a fighting club, and he was its owner. Boyka sees a fighter in the ring who was fighting like him. This man was looking aggressive and proud than Boyka, and Boyka was getting enraged with it, and then Alma comes to him. She asks him the reason, that why is he following her? She asks, "Why are you doing this?" Boyka was about to tell Alma the reason, but Zurab's companions arrive. They want him to run from there, but Boyka beats them while coming out. Zurab also arrives and asks him not to tease Alma after today. There were many other people with Zurab, so Boyka was compelled from moving there. Zurab asks his men to spy on Boyka. Boyka sees Alma has returned to the community center. He goes and tells Alma that her husband died because of him. That's why he wants to help Alma, but she doesn't want any help from Boyka and asks Boyka to leave. Zurab is shown worried because his fighting club wasn't running well. He lacks good fighters and was in search of good fighters who have good fighting skills. Boyka wants to help Alma for paying the debt, so he asks Zurab that I will fight in your fighting club. In return, you will have to give me the freedom of Alma. Hearing this, Zurab presents his condition in front of Boyka and says, "Okay, I will release her if you will win 3 continuous fights." Boyka's manager contacts him and asks him to return to Ukraine because there are some important tasks to be done. Boyka is busy here helping Alma. Alma is shown in the next scene coming to meet Boyka and asking him to leave Russia, it will be better for him. She says, "I don't need any of your help." Boyka says, "I didn't do anything for your help, but I am doing this for my satisfaction. I want to make amends for my mistakes in the past." So if Alma doesn't need his help, it doesn't matter to Boyka. Now he goes to the training center for preparing for fighting. He wasn't training well because the other fighter was teasing him. Boyka kicks him and he falls at a far distance. Later, the first fight of Boyka starts and the opponent of Boyka wasn't powerful. That's why it was easy to defeat him. He defeats him, and after it, he comes to the dressing room. Alma comes and meets him. She says, "I know a place where you can do the practice." Alma takes Boyka to the training room. She tells him that her husband is used to do training here and you can also do training here. Some kids are shown becoming happy seeing Boyka later. His second fight starts. There were 2 opponent fighters and he had to fight with them. This fight was tough for Boyka and falls down because of being injured. Then he again sees Alma and becomes passionate. Then he defeats both fighters and won his second fight. The next day, Alma comes to Boyka to the community center for bandaging him. He asks Alma why she didn't leave this community center. Alma tells him, "This was my and Victor's dream and I know the residents aren't good here. If we will leave the kids and their surroundings can become gangsters or they may involve in drugs, that's why I will never ever do this. The scene shifts and Zurab is shown who is giving bribery to a police officer. He asks the police officer to request Koshmer to come to his club. Koshmer is the champion in jail martial arts and his skills are famous all over the city. It is told at the start of the movie. Zurab was feeling that Koshmer is a fighter so Boyka will not defeat him. Later, Zurab comes to Boyka and discovers that Alma is helping Boyka in his training. He tells her that Boyka is responsible for her husband's death. Boyka is the person who has ended her husband while fighting with him. You are supporting the killer of your husband. Alma doesn't believe him and there was a call from Boyka's manager and says a bus will come tonight, it will take you and there are many important tasks which you have to perform. Otherwise, your future will be in danger. Boyka thinks of leaving after the fight and when he reaches the hotel Alma was waiting for him. She asks the reason for her husband's death from Boyka but he doesn't want to tell her because he knows Alma will be hurt by it. Then he feels it would be better to tell truth to Alma because she has the right to know it and then he tells her everything. Alma is looking disappointed and leaves while weeping. The last match is shown. If he will win, Alma will be released from Zurab's imprisonment. The stunt of Boyka was with the fighter whose stunt he has seen that was like him. He was a proud fighter. Boyka successfully defeats him but the time of the bus is also passed that he asked for returning to Ukraine after the second round. Boyka wants to leave but then Zurab arrives. He asks Boyka he has to fight. The third round. You will be pitted against Koshmer, who is the true fighter of this round. Boyka doesn't feel hesitation to fight with Koshmer and agrees to fight. Firstly, Boyka doesn't harm Koshmer because he has a strong body. Instead of being defeated, Koshmer was attacking Boyka. Koshmer beats Boyka badly but Boyka starts giving opening and we discover how Boyka attacks Koshmer and he becomes successful in defeating Koshmer. Boyka is shown but he gets faint and when Zurab sees that Boyka has defeated his fighters. He asks his fighters to end Boyka and he was taking Alma. When Boyka sees Alma was weeping being scared he starts beating the fighters. He runs after Zurab to save Alma but one of his companions of Zurab shoots Boyka's belly. Boyka also attacks him and being injured, he was trying to save Alma. Zurab warns Boyka that if he will move forward Alma will be ended. Boyka also throws his gun because he wants to save her. Alma gets a chance and bites Zurab's finger. Zurab was in pain and Boyka gets a chance from it. He holds Zurab and punches hard at his face. Then he ends him while pressing his neck. After fighting with Zurab, he becomes injured and lost his strength. Boyka is shown in the next scene apologizing to Alma for his committed sins. He says, I am the one because of whom your husband died. Before Alma could answer him the police officers arrested Boyka. The next scene is shown after 6 months. Boyka was in jail and Alma comes to meet him in a white dress. She shows him a painting made by the kids of the community center. Alma says to Boyka, I have forgiven you and thanks for helping me. Boyka is shown as a huge fighter in jail. Here, he wants to win the title of martial law arts so he started fighting in jail. He participates in the tournaments of martial law arts, in jail. The lesson is given in the movie that violence isn't the solution to everything. The people get hurt with it like Boyka has ended Victor but the good thing is he realized his mistake. Here he should be appreciated. He pays off for his mistakes. He makes himself satisfied. Moving further, a story of a fighter is shown who was caught while using drugs. He discovers that if he will fight with the champion of jail and will win, he will be released. A fighter named Boyka is shown in the jail named Boyka fighting with his opponent. He wins like always. A boxing champion named Chamber is shown in the next scene. His career was ending as a boxer. He is shown busy while making commercials. Being free from commercials, he reaches his apartment and another man is shown in his apartment. He places cocaine in Chamber's bag, then the police arrested Chamber because of keeping drugs. Then he was given the punishment to go to jail. The jail warden claims that he is his fan. He was welcomed there and then he was asked to go to jail and change his clothes. Chamber doesn't like the environment of jail. He was thinking, I am innocent and hadn't done anything and I am in jail. He tries to fight with the guard. What can he do now because he was in jail now? The prisoners of jail don't like Chamber and he shares his cell with a man named Parker. Chamber goes to the dining hall for lunch and everyone was watching him but he is shown calm. He enjoys his lunch and ignores the people there. Then Boyka's companions are shown in the hall and everyone stands up when he arrives. Like he is respected in jail even though he was a prisoner. Seeing Chamber calm, Boyka comes to him and asks him to fight with him in the champions fight. There was a fight between them and the guards arrived. They interfere in their fight and Chamber's manager is shown coming to meet him. He asks his manager to find a good lawyer for him. So I will be released soon from this jail. His manager tells him that he will get a lawyer for him and that he will be released soon from jail. Because this will take time. Chamber is shown saving the man with whom he shared his cell in the next scene. This man is named Parker and he saved him from the companions of Boyka. They were teasing Parker. Parker tells Chamber actually there is the control of criminals in jail. These criminals are of Gaga and he has called Chamber into jail while blaming him. So Chamber will fight with Boyka in jail and there will be a final fight between them. When Boyka discovers that Chamber has beaten his companions, he will now take revenge. Boyka has to fight with all of them who challenge him and the criminals' leader Gaga is shown. He asks his manager if there should be a fight between Chamber and Boyka soon. This wasn't an easy task, but Boyka is shown fighting with his fighter challengers. He fights with his first challenger and then sees Chamber after defeating him. He asks him to come into the ring. Chamber ignores him and doesn't answer him. The warden is shown after this fight while calling Chamber to his room. He asks him to join the fight. Chamber ignores him and refuses to agree with him. The warden invites him to help with difficult tasks after hearing his reluctance. So he will get tired and will be compelled for fighting with Boyka. After all this, Chamber didn't agree to fight with Boyka. Parker is shown sitting in the cell when Chamber returns after doing heavy tasks. Boyka's companions come and start hooliganism. Then they insist on Parker for making Chamber agree to fight. Boyka's companions were doing hooliganism with Parker and trying to end Chamber. Chamber faces them and fights with them. Meanwhile, the guards arrive and hold Chamber instead of holding Boyka's companions. They blame him for this disturbance. Now they throw Chamber into loneliness. A man named Crude is shown there and feeds Chamber and asks him to follow the laws of jail, and if he will not do this the guards will tease him. Chamber comes out of jail and Gaga also comes to meet him. He says if Chamber will agree to fight with Boyka they will release him soon. Later, we discover the manager of Chamber whom we saw at the start. He has signed an agreement along with Gaga. According to their agreement, Chamber will fight with Boyka. Firstly, Chamber was refusing to fight, but he has gone through bad behavior in jail and many heavy tasks were taken from him, so he gets ready to fight. Chamber and Boyka both are shown preparing for a fight. They were taking hard training because the opponents aren't usual fighters. Boyka has the skills that anyone will be defeated by him. Boyka's companions are shown reach Parker and he was using illegal drugs there. This time, Boyka's companions don't tease him but ask him to do an important task. Finally, the day arrives when there will be a fight between Chamber and Boyka and they start the fight being passionate to defeat each other. Chamber gets shocked seeing the fighting skills of Boyka in a fight. He hasn't seen this kind of skill in his life. He couldn't stop him. Chamber gradually recognizes his skills. He understands how he is attacking him. Chamber is shown succeeding while stopping his attacks. He successfully stops Boyka's attacks. He wins the first round, and on the other side, Boyka's companions are shown reaching Parker and give him a bottle of mineral water. They have mixed drugs in it. Parker doesn't want Chamber to drink this water but was compelled. Boyka's companions have warned him, and when the first round overs he gives Chamber the water bottle. Chamber loses his senses while drinking the water. Boyka kicks Chamber in the second round and he gets faint. Due to it, he fails. Chamber is shown and has discovered there were drugs mixed in the water he drank. Chamber goes to Parker in anger for asking him why he has done this to him. He goes to the cell and gets shocked seeing that Parker, who was blaming himself, has ended himself. He has written a sorry letter for Chamber and he has understood that Parker has done this because he was warned. Chamber was blaming Boyka for all this. The warden punishes Chamber instead of punishing Boyka and ties Chamber with the water tower in the snowy cold. Then guards arrive and beat him because Chamber fought with Boyka. That's why he gave him drugs? His friend also died because of it. Boyka doesn't know anything about all this. Boyka investigates and discovers his companions have given Chamber drugs. Boyka ends his companion who has given Chamber drugs willingly. Even they have done this for the victory of Boyka, but he doesn't like all this. Boyka doesn't like cheating in his game. Later, the manager of Chamber is shown to go to Gaga and asks for money from Gaga as he wants to move abroad. That's why he doesn't want to take care of Chamber's career. Then Gaga is shown giving a suitcase filled with money to his manager. Then he orders his companion to end him. Chamber is shown being punished in cold. All the prisoners are shown giving respect to Chamber and they take care of him. They cover him with clothes so he may not feel cold. They give him hot food, and when the jail warden discovers this he becomes furious at them. A surprising thing is shown that the prisoners were defending Chamber. None of them was ready to move back. Gaga is shown who discovers that Chamber was given drugs. He apologizes to Chamber and asks him to fight while making him believe in his bail. Now there will again fight match between Chamber and Boyka and they start their training. Crude is shown giving training to Chamber and teaching him skills. Chamber sees Crude as having a picture of a girl and asks him who she is. He tells him she was his niece and he didn't see her for 19 years. Crude tells him, I was thrown into jail because my brother has done robbery. I was sacrificed and there wasn't my mistake. He wanted to leave and competed with the guard. Then a guard has shot a bullet and he has ended him mistakenly. The guard has also shot him a bullet in reply. The bullet was shot in his legs and he became paralyzed due to it. This is the reason since then he is on a wheelchair. The match between Boyka and Chamber starts again. Everyone was looking passionate about watching the match. Gaga and the warden are also watching this match. The fight starts between them and lasts for so long. In the end, Chamber realizes Boyka will never accept his defeat. Then he changes the ways of the fight. He uses the skills taught by Crude here. He wins while using the techniques taught by Crude. After that, Chamber was released from prison, as per the arrangement. He has won the fight against Boyka. Later, Chamber was given a money-filled suitcase. Chamber asks for Crude's bail in return for this. Chamber is shown taking Crude to a train station. Crude and his niece are shown meeting after many years. He thanks Chamber for all this. Chamber also thanks Crude because he has taught him nice fighting skills for release from jail. Crude is shown meeting his niece after years and hugs her. Chamber leaves. If a match is won by cheating, it is useless, this movie teaches. Losing doesn't mean everything is over. We can even learn a lot from our defeat, showing great fighter. This movie ends with this lesson. Thanks for watching.